thank you everyone for joining tonight's board meeting. We'll get started with our flag salute, and I'll ask Trustee Gursky to lead us in our flag salute. Thank you.
Everybody please stand. Hands on the heart. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you again. Next item, agenda review. Just want to ask my fellow board trustees if there's any edits or changes to the agenda tonight. All right, moving on to item number 6. We'll start off with our superintendent report. So Dr. Dana Eden, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President, and welcome everybody. It's so great to have such a big crowd tonight, and I know that while most of you came to hear the superintendent's report, there's a few of you that are excited about the Guerin Elementary presentation that's going to take place. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick slideshow, and then the board members may have a couple of comments, and then we're going to go to the Guerin presentation, and we're so excited to have all of you here tonight. It's always the highlight of our meeting. So parents, thank you so much for bringing your kids out and spending this time with us tonight. We also just want to mention that after their presentation, you are more than welcome to stay for the meeting. We'd love to have you, but we also understand this is school night. So if you need to go, nobody will feel offended. So that being said, one of the things that I like to do at each meeting is just highlight some of the things that have taken place since the last meeting that we had across the school district. So what a huge success we had at the Turkey Trot. And so it was, I really want to thank all of the people that were involved in putting that together. They actually sold the race out, so they had 2,200 runners on Thanksgiving morning. You'll see Rotary up there making pancakes, and lots of people came together to make that happen. So a really fun now community tradition. And then at Guerin, some of you might recognize Mrs. Land there, and for World Kindness Day, putting together some coffee treats. So anybody recognize people there? That's pretty nice. Yeah, a couple of who was involved in that? All right, very nice, very nice. Our Loma Vista 5th grade leadership group marched in the parade over the break, and so over Thanksgiving break. And so thanks to Mr. Carmen and Mrs. Sanders for being out there and leading that group going forward. This is at Marsh Creek, Mrs. Vega, our counselor, working with Mrs. Erickson's 1st graders about the different parts of the brains and regulating different parts of the brains and regulating emotions. So we're happy to have our counselors out there. I want to thank Kim Carr from I Can Help, who came out to Bristow to do both a student and family presentation about being safe online and being a digital first responder. We appreciate that partnership that we've had. This was some great reports from some of our students in 5th grade at Marsh Creek who researched and created reports to talk about their cultural roots to their classmates.
Don't be mad at me.
I'm going to have to butt in on this one.
I don't remember this one.
Yeah, a week ago, we, as board members, went to the California School Board Association in San Francisco. And if you can read the sign, it says selecting a new superintendent. And so we decided this would be an appropriate one for the three of us to take a photo in front of. And, you know, you can only tease a person about something like that you love and respect so much, you know, that you wouldn't be able to get away with that if he was really having a problem. So, but we said we wanted to put this into the presentation just as a little surprise for our boss.
I appreciate that. I thought I was going to go home and catch the second quarter of their Warriors game. So, I'm not sure how I feel about that at this point.
Please sit through the session.
Okay. All right. And then also, I'll try to, I don't know if there's any other surprises in there. I should probably check my slides before I come up here. So our Brentwood Rotary continues to support our 3rd grade classrooms in different ways. That's evolving a little bit. They used to give dictionaries, but we've been working with teachers. And so that's changing a little bit. So getting some donations for literacy within their classrooms. So thank you to the Brentwood Rotary for continuing to support that. This is Nishna, Arwa, and Anam, who presented to multiple classes out at Mary Casey Black about Diwali. So it's always wonderful to have teachers that are our students that are instructing our kids. So what a great job for them. And then Mary Casey Black had their first celebration around the world activity night. So they had an opportunity to learn about Diwali, Kwanzaa, Lunar New Year, Christmas, Hanukkah, and Las Posadas. So great job, and thank you to the Mary Casey Black PTA for putting that together. We also had the legendary Paul Cray, who came out and read to families out at Cray Elementary for story night. So he's always a highlight and a big draw there for family time. And then Brentwood Elementary had their annual Winterfest that takes place. And you'll see a lot of thank you parent clubs. I think one of the things that I want to really reiterate here tonight as I go through this is just how much better a school district we are because we have involved parents that put so much energy into our schools and supporting activities that are fun for families. So I really just can't say enough to thank all of them. And that continues on here with the Loma Vista Parents Club, who did a movie night. And one of the things that all our school district is working on is collecting for the Brentwood Regional Community Chest, which provides food, a full Christmas dinner, and also presents for all the children to over 400 families within our community. And most of the food and most of the presents are donated within our school district. And so one of the things that they did for this night was the price of admission was a toy or some food. So thank you to them for putting that forward. Another special thing that's been going on, if you've ever been up to the Tunnels of Joy that exist up in Shadow Lakes up in Brentwood, or was it Deer Ridge? Sorry, Deer Ridge up in Brentwood. And so this year, Jeremiah Jones, who's a former AMS student, is the recipient of that fundraiser. And so this is members of that staff that were up there. They have Team Jeremiah sweatshirts on that they're showing off out there. And then also the Adams performed out there last night as part of the celebration. So if you haven't had a chance to go out there, it's a great thing to see, a great celebration. I want to thank Contra Costa Fire for bringing some safety education out to Ron Nunn kindergartners. And then one of the things that they shared with me afterwards is they couldn't decide who was having more fun with the fire hose. So the girl on the left or the principal on the right. And so I'll let you decide from the picture of what that is. I want to congratulate Zoe Lynn. She, as an Adams student who was selected as the winner of the Lions International Peace Poster Contest. And I've actually seen the poster, and this picture doesn't do it justice, but it's a really cool picture of an astronaut with a peace dove. So congratulations, Zoe. And then I thought this was a really fun project. So 8th grade consumer arts. So this is Rhonda Hagen's class out at Bristow. And so those kids are learning to sew. Great skill there. You can see the mermaid that she made. So great job. Out there. I had the pleasure of attending a couple of winter concerts. So this was the Bristow Winter Concerts, one of 2 nights. Fantastic event done by Mr. Morello. And then this is our Harvest Grove Virtual Academy Middle School. They do some meetups sometimes to have some social time together. So some middle school students playing some Monopoly and Taboo. And then this was the Adams concert that I was able to go to with Mr. Fallon and Mrs. Isaac leading that. And really another great concert. They're so big now that they had to have a separate night for their choir to perform because there wasn't enough room for them there as well. Some more donations coming in for the Brentwood Community Chest. And so here you see Girl Scout Troop 31467. So thank them for donating out there at Bristow. And then here's some other Guerin students playing with the wonderful Mrs. Biggs, the counselor out at Guerin, playing the dreidel game, learning that for Hanukkah. Lots of stuff going out. We had Ron Nunn has a walk and talk in the morning to keep students engaged and get them off to a great start. And Mayor Joel Bryant, we appreciate him coming out. He spoke with students and met them, and then even hung around for autographs afterwards. So thank you for coming. Here is the Marsh Creek Posada that took place. And so again, lots of fun activities bringing families together. And thanks again to all of our volunteers. I want to acknowledge Mrs. Dillon and Mrs. Bartling's class out at Adams, who adopted a senior who did those programs. And so the students were able to donate wish list items and support our senior community. So thank you for showing that great spirit. this past Saturday, you may have heard sirens out near Target, but it was part of the Brentwood Police Activities League, the PAL program, doing Shop with a Cop for some of our students, a great program going forward. And so I want to thank Officer Bollinger and the PAL board and Brentwood Police Department for putting that together, for benefiting so many of our students. And then I want to acknowledge our middle school students who came out on Saturday to help and wrap all those presents. So they met at Edna Hill, and students from all three of our middle school students came together, wrapped those presents so those students can take them home and have a wonderful holiday for their families. And then I want to acknowledge Mrs. Foote, who put this together. So this augmentative and alternative communication boards that are out there that have students that are nonverbal, help them be able to communicate on the playground. So she designed these. And so they're out now. They're being put up at all of our playgrounds. And so students who would not normally be able to communicate out there are now able to use these boards to do so. So thank you to Mrs. Foote for spearheading that. And that is my report this evening.
That was a great report. Let's give a hand to the school and the students, all that great stuff happening throughout the year. Love it. I will just say that's my favorite part of this meeting is the superintendent report. It really is. All right, my next favorite part, or actually, let me stop. Did you want to call? Or actually, first we're going to do board member comments. Any board member comments? Nope. Committee report outs? Nope. All right, my next favorite part is student presentations. So let's hear for the Guerin Elementary students who are here.
Ooh.
Good evening, board and audience. Thank you for letting us present to you tonight. I have a group of 6 students here, and I'm really excited to present to you. Do we have our slide? Yes. Oh, okay. The Spectacular 6 program that we started at Guerin this year. It's a little teacher related, but it is affecting so many of our students that we just had to bring these fabulous students here to share with you how our program is affecting them. So this year we reorganized our teacher committees so that all teachers are represented at every grade level to focus on the board's priority goals. And so we brought with us 6 students to talk about the impact that all of the different committees that our teachers are working on affect them. Uh-oh.
This way. Point towards
Robert.
Oh, there we go. Oh.
I don't even know what button that was.
I promise I'm only hitting an arrow.
Arrows. Maybe Mr. Remley, you can just move it forward for her. She can beat you.
All right. So these goals that the board has identified, really this is going to hit 3 of the LCAP goals every year because of the different committees. The teacher committees at Guerin have been restructured and give teachers and staff time to work and collaborate in groups with each other at the site and on the site and district goals. And each committee meets to look at data, brainstorm strategies to support all the students. This new process has resulted in new ways of meeting a variety of student needs. So I'm super excited about that piece. All right. Okay. So what does this program offer? Well, it offers a bunch of things. Small group reading intervention, individualized behavior interventions, small group ELD instruction, student leadership opportunities, inclusion opportunities for students, and opportunities for teachers to examine teaching practices in math and science. All right. So I am going to now turn it over to my fabulous students, starting right here with Leo. There you go. You're good.
My name is Leo, and I've been a part of Guerin's behavior program. I feel like I'm helped more than in the past. I've made close friends with many people, and I have a big bond with our counselor, Miss Biggs. I feel the more I get help from people, the more I help others.
I don't know where to go.
Hello, my name is Naomi Lanny, and I'm going to be talking about my special ed experience. I love helping the special education students, whether it's at the Special Olympics or on the play structure. I love playing and working with them, and it gives me joy to see them happy. I am so happy that I got to have this experience, and I hope I could do it again.
Hi, I'm Kendra. I'm part of Cougar Council. These are some things I love about Cougar Council. I love how I get to help everyone. Cougar Council also makes me feel included. Cougar Council is a great experience.
What is your name?
Hello, my name is Guillermo.
And what do you like about Den Reading Intervention?
I like about them because I get to read just with some kids. And I like reading now because I can read stories with no pictures, and some stories are funny, like Dogman.
And how do you think you would be doing without Den?
Struggling.
My name's Jimena. I'm part of ELD. Mrs. Erickson tells us that writing, and she tells us that I forgot.
How did she help you? How did she help you?
She helped me by I forgot the way.
What are you doing better now that you've been in ELD?
I've been doing better in writing and paragraphs too.
All right.
Hello, my name is Eileen, and I will be talking about ELD. ELD has helped me with my writing. Ms. Harrison taught us to stop and think before we start to write. I also feel good on my test as well. I feel confident that I will do great on the LPAS test this year. Ms. Harrison cares about me, and I hope to still see her.
All right, I'm Melissa Warner. I am the vice principal, and I have a couple of quotes from some of our staff members. So this one is from our school counselor, Miss Biggs, and she finds that the behavior committee of the Spectacular Six is a great way for teachers to help other teachers in dealing with troubling or difficult student behaviors. The knowledge of the whole team of educators far surpasses that of a single specialist, and the support and understanding that teachers can provide each other help to strip away defensiveness in order to focus on the individual student behaviors. This directly impacts her work with students because as a specialist, she often misses out on seeing an accurate whole picture. And this allows her to separate the individual behaviors and create goals based on real data, not just vague concerns and frustrations. It has also become strategic in creating groups and running interventions in a more meaningful and efficient way.
All right.
This quote is from Miss Marie, who is our OT. Guerin Elementary has made great strides over the last few years to promote inclusion for students and families. One amazing result of this effort is the participation of general ed students during the last 2 Special Olympics. In addition, we have a group of 5th graders who volunteer to support our kindergarten special day class during daily recess. The students have developed relationships and have learned the value of using visual support for communication. And then we have one from Miss Heidi Erickson, who is our ELD instructor. The Spectacular Six is truly spectacular, as ELD support is a wonderful way to have a home base to share ideas with and grow the ELD program. I truly appreciate the opportunity to meet as a group and discuss current work, next steps, and long-term goals. She wants to be always transparent to her as a program and what she's doing to support Guerin's EL students. She truly believes all these focus groups working together to make our school community stronger is a great idea and is proving incredibly productive and successful. And then we have a quote from one of our parents of a 2nd grade Den student who is actually up here with us. Den has been outstanding. We see a night and day difference since he's been in Den. At his old school, they were suggesting that we do some testing for learning disabilities. But since he's been in Den, and the consistency has made a world of difference. His confidence has grown so much.
Yeah.
So just to give you an idea of the impact. So these programs that these students here are part of impact hundreds of students at our school. Reading intervention alone supports approximately 100 students daily from all of our grade levels. The referrals to the office have dropped 22% because of our behavior committee. During our meetings, our Spectacular 6 meetings, Ms. Erickson has trained and prepared for staff how to use the LPAC readiness materials for instruction. And now all teachers have a voice and impact on the programs here at Guerin that are driven by the board's priority goals. So thank you very much for having us. And that's the Spectacular 6.
All right, great presentation. Thank you so much for sharing the highlights of the program. Shout out to the Behavior Committee and the Spectacular 6. I have some certificates to pass out. So let's start with Naomi. Jimena. Kendra. Congratulations. Eileen. Leo. Oh, Leo. There you go. And Guillermo. All right. Thank you so much. Give a bow. There you go. All right. Perfect.
Thank you so much, Garen, for coming out and again being the highlight of our meeting. And again, parents, you're welcome to stay, but we also understand if you need to go at this time. So thanks again.
All right, we are now at the point of our agenda, item number 7, public comment. At this time, the public is permitted to address the school board on items that are on the consent calendar, requests for future agenda items, and items that are not on the agenda. Remarks are limited to 3 minutes per person, and while we encourage your comments, unfortunately, state law prevents us from discussing items that are not on our meeting agenda. Public comments can be made at this time or during the appropriate agenda item. Please know we do take them very seriously, and if appropriate, staff will follow up.
Move that we open public comment.
All right, I have a first and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries, and public comments is open. I have a few yellow cards here. If you have some in the audience, feel welcome to bring them on up. But I'll start with Alicia or Alyssa. Elisa? Yes, right there at the podium.
Hi, I'm Elisa. I'm the mom of 2 Brentwood Union School District students. Today I'm going to address things that have happened with my son. He's a special needs TK student at Loma Vista. I want to preface this with saying we've been in Brentwood since 2020, and we've had some really phenomenal teachers that have gone above and beyond and created great educational experiences. Unfortunately, this year we've had a bad apple, to say the least. His classroom teacher put her hands on a kid in October. And has been gone from the school since then. We didn't have any communication from the administration about what was going on, that there's been a sub for 2 months that is not a certified teacher. As I'm sure you all know, special education can be challenging and requires a lot of training. So there's a lot of concerns about what happened. I requested an IEP meeting in August because I had concerns about the teacher and I wanted him moved to another classroom. This IEP meeting that I requested in August took place yesterday. There's been so many failures in communication that have been just devastating to me. My son doesn't have the ability to communicate what's going on during the day or how he's feeling. And he depends on me and his teachers to do that. I want to see more safeguards in place to protect our most vulnerable kiddos and improved programs to empower their families to know their rights and understand the methods and resources for addressing concerns as they arise. Especially with our special needs children that can't communicate, seeing behavioral changes, mood changes, those are serious concerns that need to be investigated and looked at when they happen. Trust has been broken, and I want to see accountability from school administration. I need to feel that all our children's safety and quality of education is the #1 priority at all times. I'm still working on what I think that should look like, but these issues will not be swept under the rug. And in the meeting yesterday with the assistant principal of the school, I said, you're going to be seeing my face a lot. I'm going to sign up to be a volunteer. I will request to observe. What's happened is not okay, and I'm not going to let it go.
Thank you. Next up, Carolina.
Hopefully my voice will hold out. I'm requesting a future agenda item regarding the music programs in the 3 junior highs. Music is an incredibly important program during the formative years where students are trying to figure out their strengths. Off-campus music program-related activities should be reimbursed by the district for the 3 junior high music programs. The schools reimburse science camp substitutes and other academic-related activities. They don't have the budget to reimburse music program subs. The reason for this request is that the cost for recruiting students representing the school and growing the music program has increased exponentially. One bus alone costs $13,000. For Bristow has 487 students in the program, just so you know. For Bristow, the cadet band, 6th grade, takes 2 buses, so that's $26,000. We have consistently award-winning music programs that feed the high school programs, and they need the district support. I am requesting that this be a future agenda item. I spent all day today passing out sweatshirts. Then I went to a band booster meeting where we're going for the Mecca feed that's coming up, where we raise funds. But you can only squeeze so much money out. And the one thing that has not kept up with this increase in buses and tickets and transportation and gas is people's wages. So as costs are increasing, it's harder for us as boosters to recoup that money to be able to fund these things. The important part of the booster program is to fund the buses, the purchase of instruments, and also to recruit students. We have phenomenal 3 music programs in the district, and people move here and they love their kids in these districts. Dr. Eaton was part of our winter concert, and it was phenomenal. And Emil Geddes was there as well. And it was fantastic. The parents are so surprised at the quality of the music, and they are so happy that the kids are in class with other kids that are kind, that are smart, that look out for each other, and they're not in the craziness of the rest of the junior high. So I can't stress enough how important this is. We don't have a robust funded music program in the elementary school. So what happens in junior high is that these teachers take students that can barely read notes, and then they play this amazing music at the winter concert, and everybody's eyes are like fried eggs because of the amazing sound. So we need to support our 3 music programs by paying for the substitutes so they can continue to grow the programs and recruit students from junior high who might not even have thought of doing this. So that's my future agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Maurice.
Good evening. My name is Maurice Venezia, excuse me, and I'm a kindergarten teacher at Ron Nunn. This is my 10th year teaching in BOSD. Sorry, I might get emotional. I'm a single parent to a 19-year-old college sophomore and a 16-year-old junior at Liberty High School. As a single parent, I'm the sole provider for my household. I never thought after teaching in this district for as long as I have that I would be forced to take a pay cut. But here we are. Every year during our open enrollment, I sit down with a printed copy of our health and welfare benefits rates and a paper and pencil. I go over the different rates to see what I can afford for my family of 3. Each year I select the Kaiser deductible plan because that's what I've calculated is my best financial option with what's being offered. With my deductible plan, I pay a large amount of out-of-pocket. I pay a large amount out of pocket each time me or my children need health care, such as blood work or x-rays, just to name a few. Effective on my December paycheck, I will be taking a pay cut. This is due to the increase in our health and welfare benefits rates. Our rates have increased, yet the district is not contributing any more to employee benefits, and we have not had a salary increase at all for this year. All of my utilities are increasing, auto insurance is increasing, gas, food, and now my health benefits are increasing. Everything else in life seems to be going up, creating hardships on everyone. Now I will be making less money as a BUSD employee after faithfully working for this district, serving my students and their families for 10 years. I love my job, I love my school, I love my colleagues, but most importantly, I love my students. I work hard to provide them the best education. However, I've begun to search options for a new career. I don't want a different career, but maybe I can find a career with an employer that will value me. Maybe I can find a career with an employer in which I won't have to take a pay cut. Did you know that that neighboring districts are looking to cover full family benefits, yet we can't even cover our own members? I'm literally losing sleep over wondering how I'm going to be able to survive with this pay cut. Does this seem fair? Are you happy with our district not offering increased compensation to offset the cost of our insurance increasing? Don't you believe our district should be contributing more towards our healthcare so educators like me don't have to take a pay cut? If our district wants to retain teachers, we need to do better. We need to value our educators. I urge you to make a change. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Bustillos.
Hi, Lisa Bustillos, the Brentwood Teachers Association president, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself, but also mostly tonight for our members. One of the things that we do is when our members come to us with concerns, we track them, we make sure that we're following up with them, just keep track of all the communication around that. And I review it pretty regularly just to make sure that I'm following up on everything for our members and making sure that their concerns are heard. So when I looked at our health and benefits and how many had come over the whole set of concerns for this year, 20% of our members' concerns are on health and benefits increases that are coming out and how that's going to affect them. On a personal note, just to kind of give you a little bit of my story, and I've told a little bit before, when my daughter was in kindergarten and now she's in college, my family had a change. My husband lost his job and he was paying for all of our benefits. So we went from getting cash in lieu for me to now me paying for full family benefits out of pocket. So I went from getting, I don't know what the time, maybe $300 a month to paying $1,600. And so you can imagine that impacted, it was about $2,000 I was paying out of pocket. One of the reasons I became so involved in the union is because they changed that. They changed it to a point where I was paying much less out of pocket. We were doing the negotiating with the district, getting all of those things taken care of. I'm down at this point to, if I take the Kaiser HMO deductible plan and just cover my daughter and I, because my son has a job now, I only have to pay so much out of pocket each month. I'm down there, but now I'm going to be paying for more. So I was reflecting this afternoon where I'm at, thinking about all of our members and their concerns. And I hurt my knee not too long ago. Some days it's better than others, but I'm thinking, how long can I wait to address that problem because I know I'm going to have to pay for probably x-rays or maybe a CT scan, whatever it is. I know that's going to probably be $400 to $800 out of pocket. Then I have to, whatever else is going to come beyond that. I know that I'm getting older. It's a little more serious concern. And I'm not the only one with those concerns. There's a point in our negotiations, which we're still in, but it's been traditional for the district to cover single payer at the $5 HMO. It's been past practice. And this year we weren't getting there. And something I heard, and I'm going to go really fast for members, is they were expecting that. And it's because it's been past practice. But had they known it wasn't going to happen, they would have changed the choices that they had in October and made different ones. And that was very impactful to me because we didn't have that knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Chrissy.
My name is Chrissy Minks. I'm an intervention teacher at DEN, for DEN at Guerin, and you saw how proud we are of our students. I wanted to share with you the favorite part of my week. I'm going to preface it by saying you're probably not going to hear this from any other teacher. My favorite part of the week is my morning yard duty. I have yard duty between the time the gate opens, the back gate, and the bell rings. And I stand out there and greet students. Yes, I'm there to make sure that kids don't leave and whoever doesn't, and parents don't come on if they're not authorized and all of that measure. But truly, the way I look at it is that's my chance to get those students engaged to have a great day. The reason why this is so exciting to me is I get to greet students. I get to say hi to parents. I get hugs from students. I hear so exciting stories from the night before, plans for the next day. In fact, I heard today is my last day. We're moving to Great White Wolf Lodge for Christmas. And we're going on a field trip to the library. Just great things that I hear every day, and you can't help but smile. I wait with students who are waiting for their friends, and watching that joy when they meet them every single time is just phenomenal. It just makes me smile. The sheer joy of it, helping students have a better day just by having a conversation with them, just by making a connection, asking them a question, encouraging late students to move with a purpose so that they can get to class before that tardy bell rings. Waiting for that student, the student, parents will tell me, hey, there's another kid out there. Can you hold the gate a little bit longer? And sure, I'm going to hold that gate for them so they can make it in and have a better day. I get to hear student observations about my festive attire or my pink glasses. I get all kinds of questions. Do you know what my friend's elf did the other day ago? And this is how we will help our students succeed. Not by requiring an additional assessment or more curriculum or another item for teachers to do, no matter how well-intentioned or research of the moment it is. I'm blessed because my student groups start 5 minutes after the bell rings. I can do this. I only have to get myself to work. So I can get there early. I can read my email in the car. I can pray and do my devotion and then go to this and not have to stress as much as every other teacher is doing just to get their day started. This was a conscious change point of view for me. I had to make this focus because it was too hard to keep going. In order to look at things and start each day fresh, I had to make that decision. It's a tough one to make every single day. And mostly it's great because the internet hasn't dropped yet for me. I haven't realized that we only have one working bathroom. I still believe I might reach every single student. So while that's a great thing to be respected, the devaluation that we're occurring right now is unappreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. I have one more speaker card, and that belongs to Aubrey.
Hello, I'm Aubrey Agpolo. I'm actually speaking for someone who couldn't make it tonight, so I'm reading this, and I don't have it in my head, so bear with me as I get through it. She says, I've been a teacher at the district for over 25 years. While it's hard to picture myself anywhere besides BUSD in my specific school site, I feel disheartened about the lack of respect or thought that is given to us. Every day we have to fight for ourselves financially. We are not given COLA even when the district receives this money from the state. Does the district think that their expenses go up, but our personal expenses don't? It used to be that a single employee would be covered medically without any monthly out-of-pocket expenses. It has been said that this is changing in 2024. Now, those of us who carry the medical insurance for ourselves will essentially be taking a pay cut. Do you realize that as a single parent at the top of our certificated pay scale, I cannot qualify to rent an apartment in Brentwood? And this was before having to dig into my paycheck each month and pay for my medical insurance. Teachers are on the front line daily. We are continued to be asked to add more to our workload and nothing is being removed. We have new monthly lessons to teach. We have new weekly lessons to teach. Our district mandated tests for English language arts at the elementary level do not adequately test the standards we report on. When asked about this, we are told to make up our own supplemental tests, maybe a worksheet, maybe an exit ticket, maybe a formative assessment. We have new science curriculum to implement this year, which it's nice to be with the times again in science. However, each lesson takes up to 60 minutes to prepare for, and then up to 60 minutes to clean up, and at least 60 minutes to teach multiple times a week. Plus, not all the supplies needed for the experiment have been provided by the district. I have no extra money to be purchasing curriculum. Our students' parents should not have to purchase our curriculum for us. Our ELA and math tests are scored and entered into Illuminate, but Illuminate doesn't communicate with Aries, so we're entering data twice for every test we give. We are given 1.5 to 3 hours to work on reports to parents or prepare for conferences. Do you realize it takes about 5 minutes to write a meaningful comment on the report to parents, and that's just for one student? For the lower elementary grades, this means over 2 hours are spent writing comments. Maybe the people that work at the district office who used to work in our school sites have forgotten what our job is actually like. Maybe they don't realize that they're asking more of us each and every day. Maybe they don't realize that our jobs are becoming almost impossible to do because of the many hats we are now asked to wear. Maybe they don't realize that not considering us for regular pay raises or covering our benefits is completely disrespectful and hurtful to those of us who are making the biggest impact on the students' life each and every day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. No other public comments, so I'll ask for a motion to close public comments, please.
Move that we close public comment.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to item number 8, consent items.
Does anyone have anything they want to pull to discuss? If not, I move that we approve 8.0 through 8.6 on the consent items.
I'll second.
I have a first and a second. Those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to
Madam President.
Did I miss something?
Mrs. Melendez, on our personnel report that we just approved, we approved a new program specialist. Do you want to introduce her real quick? I think she's here. Here you go.
She is. Yes.
Thank you for catching that.
I wanted to make
catch.
sure. I wanted to make sure it went through Chrissy first before we introduced you.
I'd like to introduce you to our new program specialist in our SPED department, Chrissy Sanchez.
Welcome.
We're super excited to have her. She's teaching Model 1 at STC right now, and she'll be starting Monday with her department.
All right, congratulations and welcome aboard. All right, so moving on to item number 9, hearings and appeals, there are none. So I'm going to move on to item number 10. There were no report outs of closed session. So moving on to item number 10.1, which is an action.
I move that we approve the stipulated expulsion of student number 11-2023-06 as presented.
A second.
I have a first and a second. Those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 10.2. This is an action.
Move that we approve the stipulated expulsion of student number 11-2023-07 as presented.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. And then moving on to item number 10.3 for action.
And I also move that we approve the stipulated expulsion of student number 11-2023-09 as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Moving on to item number 10.4, approval of first interim report.
Good evening. Robert's going to get the PowerPoint going. Tonight, we're asking the board to approve the first interim budget, which is required by Ed Code. And the first interim report is for the financials through October 31st, and it is required to be approved by the board by December 15th. Once it's approved by the board, it goes to the County Office of Education to recertify it, and then on up to the state. And taking a look at this annual budget cycle, so I just wanted to draw your attention that the fiscal year is July 1st to June 30th, just like our school calendar year. And right now where the star is, we're at the first interim report. You approved our adopted budget in June. It's actually a 19-month process, even though the budget itself is only for 12 months. So there'll be a second interim and unaudited actuals and annual financial audit. And every school district in California follows this same budget cycle. So let's talk about first interim. So really what first interim is the first budget change since the budget came to the board in June. And when it came to the board in June, it was an estimated budget based on what the governor said they thought we're going to have in their new state budget for 23-24. So all the assumptions were based on what we knew back in May and June. But now we have some more accurate data in terms of the districts completed all their hiring, because a lot of our employees, say for the special education that support programs, are based on the students themselves and what their programs provide. So we've got a full slate of employees. The salaries are scheduled and updated. So for example, when we know we're hiring certain new employees, but they're not here yet, we don't know who they are, we don't know exactly where they'll come in on the salary schedule, or exactly say what health and welfare benefits they might take. So that's why now the salaries and benefits are all updated and scheduled. I've also run, well, if you include August as well, but you've run a few months of payroll, so you have a sense of the payroll costs on an ongoing basis as you look forward to the rest of the fiscal year. And as in, I understand every year we have a very high percentage of our payroll is from the unrestricted budget. It's 89.6% goes to salaries and budget. Now, again, we are in the business of education and educating students, and that is why we so much of it goes into our teachers and our learning support staff, but we are a little bit higher than other districts.
How much is a little bit higher?
I have a slide and a couple of slides to tell you.
Maybe I shouldn't have asked that.
Oh, here's the slide right here. So put together a little bit of data. So just as an example, this says 89%, we're 89.6%. That's the percentage of unrestricted salaries and benefits. Liberty is 85, Oakley's 84. So we're, 4 to 5% higher, which is significant in a budget of $150 million. The other things about our district that makes us unique, and so really every district in the state has a different sort of scenario of what LCFF funding means, the local control funding formula, which is most of our revenue. It's based on this criteria of what we call unduplicated students, how many students of, lower income, English learners, foster homeless youth. So we have and then it's also based on if you're high school students. So if we have high school students, we get more money per student. So for example, we are like 20, I'll look at the assumptions, I think 28% unduplicated. So we get the base funding like everybody else, but we get like less than a third more than, say, if you look at neighboring districts that have higher, say Antioch or Pittsburgh or other things where they might have a 90% unduplicated, they're getting significant more funding. The other thing too is like, I came from a district where they had a low unduplicated account, so they didn't get as much LCFF funding, but they passed 2 parcel taxes in their community because their community can support that. So this second graph just sort of captures our per pupil LCFF funding against our neighbors. And again, so like Brentwood was like 9,948, where Liberty gets 11,454, Oakley gets 10,851. Now this is not interesting, but it's 21-22 data just because it's certified on the state website. So 22-23 just isn't certified yet. I mean, I realize we're already a year beyond, but that's how we have the actual data.
So just to put that in perspective, if we were to get per student what Liberty gets, we would have $14 million more a year to spend.
89% of that would go to salaries.
Yes. Well, one of the things that the board has consistently asked for is that we put as much money as possible into retaining and attracting staff, right? And so that's why we have such a high percentage. A part of it is that we're the lowest funded district around. And then the second part is we're trying to stay competitive and attract people.
Thank you.
Salary or health benefits.
That's right. Yeah.
So when we take a look at the first interim budget, we're looking at the changes from when we had our adopted budget in June to where we are through October 31st. And I just want to remind us as we look at first interim budget that it's through October 31st. And then at the end of the presentation, I do have a couple slides just on looking forward into second interim. But we're certifying the first interim. So we have unrestricted revenue, and if you remember, unrestricted is the larger of our general funds, which is, it's not really unrestricted, but it's what's used for salary, benefits, utilities, operating expenses, services, contracts. And it is, you have to follow ed code, you have statutory law, but it has a lot more uses and funds the operations of our district. So on the revenue side, on the unrestricted, we did have an increase from adopted budget to first interim of a little over 300,000. And it was in what we call other state, because there was an increase into home to school transportation that they're funding us this year. And the lottery allocation went up currently based on what the lottery is right now. If you take a look at restricted revenues, so for example, they're all those mostly one-time funds that come and go, or federal funds like Title I, Title III, some special ed funds, and they went up through all the categories by about $860,000. If you take a look at where they went up in what areas, so Title I, which is federal, and our other federal accounts, they were increased and also balanced at first interim. And under other state, we went up about 165,000, and that had to do with one of the one-time block grants, which is educator effectiveness and lottery. And then under all other local, we went up about 367,000. And again, that's because when we adopt our budget in June, it's just based on May estimates. So if you take it associated student body, local donations, parent clubs, all of that, we don't have all that data really until the beginning of the school year, which is after it's adopted. So it's all incorporated into the first interim budget. We also got a little more revenue in special education local funding. So then we always look at the combined revenues because it is a combined budget. And if you put the two together, it shows we have a change of an increase in revenue of 1.1 million. Then taking a look at the expenditures, same way we looked at our revenues. First, we have the unrestricted expenditures, and there are changes which I will detail in the different categories, totaling an increase in expenditures of 618,000. And as you can see, there's several categories. So taking a look, say starting at certificated salaries. So the budget estimate, which is what this is, it's our estimated budget at first interim, was that we reduced it by a little over 800,000. And the reason we did that is because when we set the budget, we hadn't hired the vice principals yet as part of that. So we didn't know where they were going to go on the salary schedule. There are also counselors that we hadn't yet hired. So a lot of them came in at steps lower than anticipated. And so they're now placed correctly on the salary schedule. It also has to do with the other open positions that weren't placed on where we knew, and now they are. Classified salaries. Now, we did increase the budget in classified salaries on the unrestricted side due to transitional kindergarten aides and nursing aides, increasing them based on student numbers and student needs. Employee benefits reduced a little over like 389,000. And again, that's partially due to the reduction in salaries and partly due to a reduction of truing up costs from the estimated adopted budget. I think the main other point, though, is that services and operating expenditures have gone up $1.4 million. And I have to say, our utility bills are enormous. Our water, our garbage, our PG&E, just as we've seen in private, they continue to grow significantly. And so we rebudgeted and recalibrated at first interim what we think will be for the rest of the year on those budgets. And then transportation, we also increased as well, the cost of general education transportation for the year. So it's a similar type on the restricted side. Overall, the restricted expenditures went up 2.3 million. But one thing I want to say is that a lot of the restricted dollars, they're all dollars for our students in the district, but they're one-time funds, or they come in for 3 years or 4 years or 2 years. So at some point you are going to spend them down. I mean, they don't stay forever. So it's also just a little different in the way you're looking at them. It might just mean that so I'll go through this, but there's a good example, I think. So on certificated salaries on our restricted side, so our speech language pathologists, we have had trouble hiring internally for that position. And so we actually ended up moving to contracted, non-public agencies to hire some of our SLPs. Same thing in classified salaries. We had to reduce the number of behavior techs and sign language salaries in our budget as employees. Again, we've done, HR, as you know, does a great job of reaching out and trying to hire internally, but they couldn't wait any longer, so they've been moved to contracted services. So we reduced that budget, and actually it went up in services and operating services, which are contracts. Employee benefits are also adjusted in the same way. Again, it's also the health and welfare as well, because sometimes when we hire new employees as well, before they're in there, you don't know if they're going to take employee only, 2-party, or 3. So all of that is trued up along with the reduction due to moving salaries to contracted services. Books and supplies have gone up also on the restricted side, but again, it's adopted curriculum, trainings, materials, and assessments, which is actually I'm looking at Michael, but a good thing because we're using some of our educator effectiveness monies that we have that won't be here forever. And it's just being budgeted where it wasn't allocated yet. Maintenance operation has also gone up as well. So really, as you look though, under services and operating expenditures, it's, it says it's up by 3.9 million. Well, that includes the 1.6 million that was moved from salaries into contracted services. The one budget went down and in benefits and another went up. The other areas, though, as to why it increased had to do to some settlements, special education settlements, some more curriculum, and also M&O services. Maintenance and operations, sorry, yeah. So looking at the combined expenditures, I won't go through it all, but taking the restricted and unrestricted, we now have 133,820,000 in combined expenditures, and they went up by 2.9 million, although that's if you combine restricted and unrestricted. So then you take a look at our combined change in fund balance. So once again, we've already been through this sort of segment by segment, but overall, our revenues increased by 1.1 million. Our expenditures combined increased by 2.1 million, and the fund balance did decrease by 1.7. So that's the first interim budget, but part of the budgeting process is we also are asking, and it's required by law, to approve this year and the next 2 out years that we will be fiscally solvent and have enough money to meet our fiscal requirements. So how do we make these multi-year assumptions, which is what they're called, for 24, 25, and 25 and 26? Well, they're based, again, on the criteria that we know today or at the time of the budget. So at the time of this first interim budget, we still only had, well, not only, we had the information from the enacted state budget, but most of it was the same as May revise in terms of COLA and other costs like that. But I will get more into that. But if you take a look at the cost of living adjustment, the statutory COLA. So in 24-25, it says 3.94, and I will talk about this, but again, we've already heard from the legislative analyst's office, from other, people that it's going to be much lower, but I'm not going to go there yet. So our multi-years are based on these numbers. The main thing I really want to pay attention to in sort of the first top of the slide is our average daily attendance percentage, because you'll see for this year it says 93.55%, and that's what it was at adopted budget. And so we actually have had higher attendance each month since we started, which is really good. It started at like 96.5, and then it was 95% something, 95. And this month, the most November, it was like 94 point something. But we don't change these assumptions in our financials as we run data until like it's certified by the state. And that happens actually on January 16th. It's called P1. So they will certify our new numbers, and in theory, we've got December and part of January to go through, and we know it will go down some because of flu and illness, but we would hope to have a higher number, and that would be reflected in the second interim. And then, so again, then our out years would be reflected based on that change. So I just kind of want to tell you why it sits there today. And looking down, it lists all the costs, as you guys call it, the cost of turning the page. How much does it cost to operate our district and to, compensate our employees? So we have CalSTRS, which is the pension for certificated teachers, and the rates. CalPERS, which is the pension required employee benefit cost for classified employees, which is really a challenge because, as you know, for, back in 2008 and before, and really up to 2011, it was about 8%, went up to 11%, and now this year it's 26.68% that we pay on every employee for pension, and it will continue to go up. how that works. We don't control that. Just really briefly on the lottery, because there's an unrestricted part and a restricted side, it just means the money comes through two sources. And one can be used for more and the other can be used for just less items, but we spend it all. And they say this is how much it is, but it actually changes throughout the year based on how much lottery we're getting as they sell lottery tickets throughout the year, right? So that kind of, if you see changes in lottery, that's why. It's always changing a little bit. The other main things I want to show is a medical premium increase. We know that this year our medical costs, our premiums have gone up 11.35%. That's not currently in the budget. It was just based on adopted. At second interim, those costs will be added. And then we added a 5% that it would go up over the next 2 years after that. And the reason I did that is because there wasn't really anything in it before that. It was just like updated as you went along. And I felt like as a placeholder, we know health costs are significantly more, but when you're looking at how much is it going to cost in the out years, you want to at least have like a base amount to know that some of it is in there. And then the books and supplies and service and operating expenditures, when we look at the out years, it's based on the data point at that time of what the consumer price index would be. So that's kind of long, but that's how you set up your multi-year projections. It's really important to understand what they mean. And the other things we wanted to share tonight is just an update on our changes in two block grants that the district received. So in October and November of 2022, you approved plans for one's called the Art Music Instructional Supply Block Grant, and the other one is the Learning Recovery Block Grant. So at the time, the plans showed you that you had about $12.4 million that was coming in. Well, then, as happens in school district budgeting, the governor signed the budget into law. The plans came first, then he signs July 1st, and he's cut some of the money out. So $3.7 million was reduced from those two plans. And so what we wanted to just share with you is that the plan changes due to the allocations as it would stand today, unless we got more one-time funds to do this. Your intervention site programs from those two block grants, you have a certificated staff member at each elementary site, and it would only be funded now for 2 years instead of 3 years based on the change in amount of funding. Also for counseling positions, you increased to 1.0 FTE counselors at your elementary sites, and you also increased FTE at your middle schools. And original plan had it for 4 years, and at this point in time, in our multi-year assumptions, it's just in the assumptions, it would go to 2 years. And there was also a technology refresh of $1 million that has been removed from the block grant expenditures. And then the one other piece, which is the good news, is we're opening Montañez Elementary. And so when you look at the multi-year assumptions of the cost, it does include all the operating expenditures for what we estimate to run the new school. Yes, I can.
The Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant. I'm guessing that, or whichever one has to do with the intervention site programs and us reducing it from 3 years to 2 years, what line item under the one-time restricted funds caused that?
So let's just say the Learning Recovery Block Grant. Okay. Say your counselors or the interventionists are in that. So it was reduced by $1 million. And that is our governor and legislature, because you may recall, like you heard probably at the May revise, they were going to cut arts and music instructional by 50%. Well, they didn't. They cut it less, but instead they cut more out of the Learning Recovery Block Grant because the state the state cuts as it needs to help fund the other programs. And as the state and the legislature come together and sign their budget, by June 15th, and then the governor signs it, this is what we ended up with. So originally, when these plans were first introduced to all school districts, they said, yes, you will get almost $12.5 million. Well, over the course of when the money actually was allocated to us, it has been cut by 3.7 between those two. And the reason I put them together is because you have the interventionists and the counselors and the technology. So it's like between the two, that's what it will look like using the funding we have.
Yeah, so this was money that was originally promised to us years in advance. The board made a plan to use it.
Yep.
And then unceremoniously at the end of the budget cycle, the governor reduced it. And so we sent that out, but we had to figure out what that meant for the plan. And unfortunately, that's where we are right now, absent any one-time funding coming in that would support that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we take a look at what the multi-year projections look like, and I'm obviously not going to read through everything, but basically we look at 23-24, our fiscal year this year, and we've talked about our combined revenues and expenditures, and I think the places to look are the combined ending fund balance for this year is $16.6 million. And then we take a look at the ending fund balance for the restricted, which is 8.3. And then this has never seen this before, the unrestricted ending fund balance. That's not an error. It's also 8,334,000. That's just a random. Normally they're very different, but that's the way our ending fund balance in those two look like. So I know. So the things to remember, though, when you look at the unrestricted ending fund balance, because that's what our reserve is. And so by law, at this size school district, we must have a 3% set aside for economic uncertainty. And so that's $4 million. And then the board has a 1.25 board adopted reserve policy on top of that. So that's 1.6 million. So the other parts of the unrestricted balance is, site and LCAP, LCFF funds and lottery. So it totals up to 8.3 million. And if you were taking a look at, well, what percentage do we have? That unrestricted ending fund balance is 6.23% of our expenditures, or what we have currently in our unrestricted ending fund balance. And then you look at the next two out years, and their revenue and expenditures are based on what we just talked about, all those pieces of information. That's how they're calculated. And then if you take a look at the unrestricted ending fund balance in 24-25, it's like 10.5 million. And in 25-26, it's 16 million. And the reason it's going up right now are because we do show our ADA going up more in the next 2 years. And our enrollment will be going up, and all that will be, again, realigned in second interim. But that's the reason it's going up in these projections. So you're looking at a 7.67%, in the first year out, and 11.7%. And that this is, as of, October 31st. And then we can't forget, you're also taking a look at the ending fund balances for all our other funds. And they're all positive. They all have, positive ending fund balances. The main thing to remember is these funds generally can't be used for the operating expenditures of the budget. Fund 13 is just for food services. It can't be put anywhere else by law. Fund 21, our bond fund, same thing. You can't move it, but you can use it for what the funds are for. So that's our first interim, and before I ask you to approve it, I'm just going to highlight what our budget outlook is and what the state budget outlook is for for second interim. I know that Superintendent Eaton has, talked about this a little bit, and I just wanted to bring it back up. So just remember that I'll be back in March. And thanks to our fiscal coordinator, Melissa Gussman over there. She'll be working on second interim very soon, even though she just spent the last 2 months working on first interim. So thank you, Melissa and her team. So basically, we have first interim, but second interim is looking very different. And the state budget outlook started to change significantly on October 31st. And as I think we've heard, it's just a reminder that we do believe, we've been told by the state that they're estimating a significant budget shortfall, which would mean possibly a 10% cut in education, K through 12 education funding in the next year. And I think when you look at it from our budget cycle standpoint, part of it is, like I said, so the multi-year projections were based on a certain statutory COLA, which would be a base funding amount for LCFF. Well, it would go from 3.94% to 1% in next year, possibly reduced. And that's 2.5 million minimum in the next that year and the following year, loss and reduction. And we will know more by January 10th. That is when the governor is required to release his first 24-25 budget.
Real quick, when was the last time we saw the state reduce what they estimated by like 10%? And is this unprecedented?
Yeah, that's never happened.
Okay.
Yes.
But as you may have recall from Superintendent Eaton, I mean, there are certain factors we don't know how much will actually be cut. That there's some things that may mitigate the reductions. For example, it's an election year, and in general, legislators and our people who are running for office don't, want to cut education, especially when they're up for re-election. The other good news is that we have $11 billion in a state education reserve fund. That's not to say they would use it all, but it's a way they could possibly use part of it to fund, on top of the 1% COLA. Our ADA is going up. And so at our second interim budget, we will have you'll see what it is, and it should be a higher, and it's a certified amount. And as we know, I mean, the governor and the legislature can't afford to make these catastrophic cuts because most districts in the state of California would be subject to that, and so second interim budget will include our next set of, budget proposals from the state and what the projections look like. But for tonight, we're asking you to certify the first interim budget.
I make a statement. It may mirror some of other statements you've heard, but as a person who's been involved in education here for the last over 55 years, I am very feel to the governor and legislature disrespected, disappointed, not appreciated, and that's where the blame belongs, not here.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Any other comments or questions from the board?
No. If nobody has anything further, I move that we approve the first interim report.
I second.
All right, I have a first and a second. All those in favor? Aye. But thank you. This was a very clear presentation. I learned a lot. So kudos and thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so you want to say something else, Dr. Eaton?
No need.
Okay. All right, so we're going to move on to item number 10.5 for action, the approval of BUSD Education Foundation Closing Plan.
Well, thank you, board. I'd like to invite Blythe Lind up to... There she is. Oh, Blythe, I was like, oh, where did Blythe go? Thank you for keeping that side over there, keeping Diane company over there. We've had an educational foundation for many, many years. But as the community's transitioned, the educational foundation has also found a need to transition as well. And so one of the things that the foundation board made the difficult decision to do was to close down. And Blythe is a member of that team. But there is some money that's left in there, and Blythe would like to share with you a little bit about their recommendations about how the board goes about spending that. So thank you for being here tonight, Blythe.
Sure. Great. Thanks for having me, and good evening, board members. As Dr. Eaton said, I'm here tonight representing the BUSD Education Foundation, and unfortunately, we've made the difficult decision to close down. Our foundation managed accounts currently total approximately $450,000 in remaining funds. Tonight, it is our recommendation that these remaining funds be expended on our school libraries over a multiple year period while funds remain. It has always been the goal of our foundation to support as many students as possible in our district, and we felt that by donating our remaining funds to our school libraries, we would be able to have the majority of our students benefit from it. So tonight we are proposing that the new school, currently known as the Isaac Montanez Elementary School, receive $50,000 in startup funds to be spent by the school librarian in partnership with school leadership. And then we'd also recommend that for the school libraries, up to $50,000 per year is allocated to be split evenly amongst the physical school libraries, including a smaller proportional amount to be provided to the virtual academy if needed. The money is to be spent by the school librarian in partnership with school leadership. So that's my proposal as I represent the BUSD Education Foundation. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Blythe. And so I just want to take it. Yeah. Go ahead. You go ahead.
First off, Blythe, thank you so much for your many years of service on the foundation. I think you and I started around the same time over a decade ago. You guys have always done tremendous work for all of our school sites, and really appreciate it. Sad to see it go, but understand why it is. So thank you again so much for all you've done. Appreciate it.
So just sort of the practicalities of this, what would happen is there's still a little unwinding that we have to do going forward. But if the board were to approve this, then we think that we can unwind most of this by next school year, and so that we can get that money started right away. The foundation would write a check to the school district. The school district would keep it in a separate account. The CBO will jump in if I'm saying this wrong, but a separate account, and then allocate it out each year accordingly to the foundation's wishes, if that's what the board approves.
Awesome. A whole new line item.
We like those. Any questions or comments for the board? This is an action item.
I move that we approve the BUSD Education Foundation closing plan as stated.
I'll second.
I have a first and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Next up, item number 10.6, the approval of updated school calendars.
Yeah, good evening, board. So we're updating our school calendars. Last month we came to you with
Only because that translates on the report.
You bet, absolutely. So we're updating our calendars here. We brought this to you last month. We inadvertently mixed up February. We alternate a 4-day weekend and 2 3-day weekends. We need to be aligned with Liberty Transportation. Otherwise, we would have students out there with no bus drivers. And so I'll bring this back to you to approve the corrected calendars so that it would reflect the 4-day weekend in the 24-25 school year and the 25-26 school year, the 2 3-day weekends in February. And that's the second and third weekend in February.
Okay.
Do we normally approve 2 different school years? Okay, cool. All right, well, this is any questions or comments, board? This is an action.
I happened to see that if there was a school board member appreciation day on either calendar, but maybe it was an oversight.
Yeah. I feel like in this district that every day is school board member appreciation day.
All right, this is an action item, board. So can I get a motion, please?
I move that we approve item 10.6, the updated school calendars.
Second. All right, I have a first and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Next up, election of officers of the Board of Trustees.
Can I just make a motion now? Sure. I move that we appoint trustee Geddes as clerk for the following year and trustee Dow Jensen as president.
Can we do that with two?
And so, yeah, so I think you have to do president first on this one, just because that's the order that we put it on. Sorry.
Scratch that, Emil. I move that we appoint trustee Dow Jensen as president for the following year.
All right, I have a first
Second.
and I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Woohoo! Congratulations, motion carries, Madam President. And so with that, I'm going to pass over 10.8 to you.
Thank you for your service, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephanie.
Next, we have 10.8 election of officers of the Board of Trustees for board clerk.
I will repeat my motion to nominate trustee Geddes as clerk.
I'll second.
Have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, and next action item, 10.9, appointment of board representatives.
I know that, sorry for interrupting for just a second. I know that trustee Dudek isn't here, but I know he'd be interested probably in serving in the same capacity that he has, but but you can give him any job that you want because
Yeah.
he's not here.
I was actually going to make a motion to keep the appointment of board representatives the same as they were and make no changes.
I will second.
Have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Where are you going?
Thank you, Blythe.
And next action item, 10.10, filing of statement of facts for roster of public agencies.
Yeah, these are just required items that we have to do every time we do redesignation. So the next two are action items, and don't leave early because Nicole will chase you down to sign something.
I'll make a motion to approve item number 10.10, filing of statement of facts for roster of public agencies.
Second.
Okay, I have first and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next action item, 10.11, authorized signature resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve item number, I like this part. I get to do that. I'd like to make a motion to approve 10.11, authorized signature resolution.
I'll second.
First and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Say
Motion
ow.
carries. And next action item, 10.12, consideration of nominations for CSBA Delegate Assembly.
So trustee or president now, Dow Jensen, is already a current delegate and her term will extend one more year. But this is there if any of you, or if you'd like to nominate Scott Dudek to be a delegate, it's available for you now.
I think we'll pass.
I'll make a motion to approve item number 10.12, consideration of nominations for CSBA Delegate Assembly, and to keep Madam President Dow Jensen as our, what is this, representative. So that's a
I'll
first.
second.
A second?
Okay, first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, let's go to 11, board member comments, future agenda items.
I just want to say it's been a pleasure serving as the president of the board the last year. I've learned a lot. It was a great opportunity, and I look forward to your journey.
Thank you. All right, no.
Nope.
Future agenda items? Oh, okay. All right, so the next special board meeting will be held on January 10th, 2024 at 4:30 p.m. And the next regular board meeting will be held on January 17th, 2024 at 6 p.m. And
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned at 8:27 p.m.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so Stephanie, since you were the president, I'm going to first interim.